Sir, can you please state your full name for the record?
Yes, Dr. Marc E. as in Edward, Petrites, Petrites.
And Dr. Petrites, what kind of doctorate do you hold?
I'm a medical doctor with specializing in general surgery.
And are you still a practicing surgeon?
Not presently, no. Kind of retired.
You retired? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back in June of 2015, were you still practicing?
Yes, I was.
And let me ask you, do you know Dr. Teresa Sievers, or did you know Dr. Teresa Sievers?
Yes, I knew her very well.
How long had you known Dr. Sievers up until June of 2015?
I originally met her in around 1995. She was doing a medical school rotation at the hospital where I was doing my general surgical residency. So I had contact with her for about 3 months or so at that time. After that, I had no contact with her until probably around 2007, at which time we ran into each other and started a professional relationship and personal.
And when you started the professional and personal relationship, do you have family as well?
Yes, I do.
And are you married?
Yes, I'm married and we have a son.
And did you and your wife get to spend time with Dr. Sievers and her family from time to time?
Yes.
Did you know Marc Sievers?
Yes, I did.
What was your relationship with Marc? What was your relationship with Marc Sievers?
Was not very close and personal. We were more close to Teresa.
So it's safe to say the relationship between your two families was based on your relationship with Dr. Sievers?
Correct.
Did your wife also have a relationship with Dr. Sievers?
Yes, she did.
Did she have a relationship with Marc Sievers?
A very casual one, I would say.
So Dr. Sievers was also closer with your wife than
Oh,
she
much-
was than
much
your
closer.
wife was with Marc
Yes,
Sievers?
yes.
At that time, was it did you and Marc Sievers spend time together?
Very rarely. I could count on one hand how many times that him and I did anything together.
Did the two of you ever make phone calls to one another to do favors for one another?
Never to do favors for each other, just making contact about either a dinner get-together or something like that. That was it.
Those get-togethers, were they just between you and Marc, or did they usually involve your families and spouses?
Oh, no, it was always families, spouses, yes.
On June 29th, 2015, at approximately 9 o'clock in the morning, do you recall what you were doing?
Around 9 o'clock in the morning, I was getting ready for work, and I went to the post office, and that's where everything kind of started.
And when you say everything kind of started, how did everything start?
So I was inside the post office, and I had received a voicemail from Marc Sievers that his wife, Teresa, had not showed up to work, and asking if I could go check on her. From there, as I was leaving the post office, that's when I was listening to the voicemail, and I just went directly to her house. On doing so, I had called him to ask him, what's up, why is this, why are you calling me about this? And
Well, then let me stop you there and ask you a question.
yes,
How far was the post office from Dr. Sievers' home?
less than 2 miles.
And you'd been to the Seavers home before,
Oh, many times, yes.
so you knew how to get there from the post office.
Correct. Yes.
And then you started to tell us that you were able to, after you listened to Mr. Sievers' voicemail, you called him back to find out what's going on. Why is he calling you?
Correct.
All right. Had he ever called you and asked you to go check on Dr. Sievers before?
No, never.
Okay, so you call him back and you said you were saying, "What's up? Why are you calling me?"
Correct.
Did you get an answer from him?
He said that she didn't show up at work, that he had tried calling her on her cell phone, but there was no answer. He believed that he said the phone was dead, and that he had traced it to the house, which I found odd, that you could trace a dead phone to the house. I don't know how the iPhone Where Am I app works, I don't know.
So on the one hand, Mr. Sievers was saying he couldn't reach Dr. Sievers because he believed her phone to be dead.
Correct.
But on the other hand, he was saying he'd somehow tracked
Right.
her phone,
To the house, yes.
but the phone was dead.
Correct.
Okay. Did you get enough, did you actually, you said you started to head towards the house. Did you actually arrive at the house?
Yes, I did.
And when you arrived at the house, were you still talking to Mr. Sievers?
As I was pulling it up the driveway, yes.
And did you get any guidance from him on how to check on Dr. Sievers?
He wanted me to go directly into the house, which I thought was odd. I did not feel that was appropriate. I said, I'm going to go to the front door. He said, just go inside the garage door. And I told him I wasn't going to do that. And so I didn't.
Let me ask you a question about that. Now,
Yes, sir.
you mentioned earlier that your family was, and the Sievers family were friends.
Correct.
You didn't have the kind of relationship where you could just show up and walk in to
Oh,
their
no.
home?
No, I wouldn't do that, no.
And they couldn't show up at your house and just walk in?
I think Teresa probably would.
Okay.
Because she felt that comfortable with us. So,
She was that bold as well?
yes.
Certainly you wouldn't, you or your wife wouldn't show up at the Sievers house and just kind of walk in without knocking on the door, ringing the doorbell?
No, no.
Did you have any concerns about just kind of walking into the house if Dr. Sievers was inside?
Yes, for personal reasons, I didn't know what she was, if she was home or what she was doing. She may have been having breakfast on the treadmill or in the bathtub. I didn't know. And also, I know that she has a weapon. She has a gun.
So you had a safety concern about surprising Dr. Sievers?
Correct. Correct.
All right, so Mr. Sievers is giving you guidance on, he's urging you to go into the house, as you
Correct.
stated. Did you make an attempt to get into the house?
First, I went to the front door and I knocked on the door. In fact, I kind of pounded. There was no answer. I tried using the front door handle and it was locked. And from there, I went to the garage.
Were you able to see inside the house from the front door?
Yes, I could.
And did you see anything?
I saw there two dogs were kind of in the foyer area. A light was on in the kitchen, but there was no other activity.
So you didn't see anybody walking around inside?
No, I did not.
All right, so after you tried to nod the front door handle and weren't able to get in the front door, did you make an attempt to get into another door?
Yes, I went to the electric garage door. He had, on his voicemail mail message to me that morning, he said, just go in the garage door. The code is 1313, push enter. And so I did that, and the garage door opened up.
And when you say he, it was Mr. Sievers?
Mr. Seavers, yes,
All right.
I'm sorry.
So Mr. Sievers gave you the code to put the door up in the garage?
Correct.
Okay. When you put the door up, what was the first thing you observed?
Both vehicles were in the garage. Mr. Sievers' vehicle, the blue van, was on the left side, and her and Teresa's white Mercedes station wagon was on the right side.
Did you see anything else in the garage?
There's just a garage full of garage stuff.
Stuff?
Garage stuff, yes.
What about the dogs? Were the dogs, you said you saw them by the front door. Did you see
Yes.
any of them in the garage?
So as I walked in between the two vehicles to walk towards the entryway to the house, one of the dogs had run out on the opposite side, on the driver's side of the van, and ran out through the open garage door.
Now, the other times you'd visited the Seavers home, had one of the dogs ever run out?
No.
Did the dog run to you or run past you?
Well, he ran right past me. He just ran out.
Was there anything else unusual that you observed in the garage as you entered the garage?
Well, as I was walking between the vehicles and then towards the front of the van to go into the house, there was a suitcase that was on the ground right directly in front of the van. And there were some articles that looked like travel-type articles spewing about around that area.
Let me stop you here, and I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 3A. It's already been shown to council. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 3A?
Yes.
What is it?
That's the front of Dr. Sievers' house with the garage door open.
Was that a true and accurate representation of Seavers' home?
Yes.
And does that accurately depict how it appeared that day when you went there?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time I move to admit what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 3A, and the evidence is State's 3A.
Objection.
We'll show it admitted.
Published?
Yes, sir.
Can we get a little bit dimmer? A little bit. Please. Okay, I'm going to hand you, Dr. Petrites, I'm going to hand you my laser. And
Okay.
just make sure not to zap anybody with it.
Okay.
There's a little button, little silver button on the side there.
Gotcha.
Can you, showing the jury 3A, can you point to the area of the garage where you entered?
I entered right here, in between the van and the motorcycle.
Okay. And the dog exited on the opposite side of the van?
opposite side of the van, over this way here.
Okay. And did you see where the dog went?
He went down the driveway.
Was there anything else that you observed in the garage as you entered the garage?
No.
Were you able to see inside the house from in the garage?
No.
Okay, why not?
From in front of the van, you can't see inside of the house, not until you get to the stairway leading into the laundry room can you
Okay.
see into the house.
Now, the dog that ran past you,
Correct.
was that one of the same dogs that you had seen by the front door glass?
Yes,
So somehow the dog had access to the garage.
correct.
Was there a door that connected the garage to the main part of the house?
Yes, there was, and it was already open when I got there.
So you didn't open it,
No, I did not.
and some dogs can open doors. I don't know whether
my-
the dog opened it, could have happened, but
Could
the door
have.
was open.
Correct.
Did you have an opportunity to go through the door?
Yes, I did.
The first question is, from that vantage point, as you go through the door, were you able to see anybody moving around inside the house?
No, I did not.
Were you able to see Dr. Seavers at all?
No, I could not.
Did you call out her name, see if she was there?
Yes, I did.
Did she answer?
There was no answer.
And when you say no answer, you mean nobody answered.
Nobody answered.
So did you then have an opportunity to proceed into the interior of the home?
Yes, I did.
And was that from that garage entrance that you told us about?
Yes.
When you got inside the home, what did you see?
As I went through the laundry room, it was plain and obvious on the kitchen floor, there was a hammer that was laying there.
Is that the first thing you saw was the hammer?
Yes.
Did you see anything else or anyone else on the kitchen floor?
Not until I entered into the kitchen.
And what else did you see?
When I entered the kitchen,
Yes.
I saw, as I was first going in, I saw blood on the floor to the left. And as I stepped in further, then I saw my friend Teresa on the floor by the refrigerator.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as entered as State's Exhibit number 1.
I don't think you gave it back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right here. Let me show you what's been previously entered as State's Exhibit number 1. Is that Teresa Sievers?
Yes, it is.
Is the person depicted in the exhibit number 1 the same person who's laying on the floor in the kitchen?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now, you told us earlier that you're a medical doctor, you're
Yes,
a trained
sir.
surgeon.
Correct.
You said you saw blood. Were you able to determine where this blood might have come from?
Well, initially when I saw her on the ground and I saw a hammer, I thought maybe she was trying to hang something on the wall or something like that and hurt herself. But the amount of blood that was there was way too much for something like that. I approached her more closely and I saw how her head had been bashed in.
Were the injuries that you saw to Dr. Seavers' head consistent with life?
No. She had a depressed occipital skull fracture. I'm pointing to the back of my head here. And
Your Honor, objection.
State,
I'm not sure what the objection is.
you guys want to approach?
Yes, sir.
So, Dr. Seavers had an injury to the back of her head.
yes,
Was she moving?
no.
Did you have an opportunity to check for a pulse or check for any respiration?
Yes, I checked for signs of life, and she had none. She was dead cold.
When you say dead cold, what does dead cold mean?
Her body was cold and lifeless, very much like, I don't know if you've ever been to a funeral with an open casket and touched your loved one's hand. just, that's how they feel. That's how dead cold feels.
Is the Seavers home located in Lee County?
Yes, it is.
After you determined that Dr. Sievers was lifeless, did you have an opportunity to call for help?
First, I yelled into the house, and then I yelled for her daughters, because I didn't know if they were still in the house.
So, Mr. Sievers, when you had spoken to him earlier, hadn't made any reference to you about whether the daughters were home with Dr. Sievers or with him wherever he was.
The morning of this, no, he did not make reference.
So you thought the two young girls might have still been in the house?
I thought they could have been, yes.
When you called out, did anybody else answer?
There was no answer. The house was silent.
And when nobody else answered, did you make an attempt to find out where the two daughters were?
Yes, I did. I thought that someone could still be in the house, even though it was quiet. It was a very eerie feeling being inside the house with that atrocious finding. I stepped outside the house and I called Marc Sievers directly and asked him if the girls were with him, if the daughters were with him.
And did he confirm for you that they were with him?
Yes, he said that they were with him.
Then did you get an opportunity to call for help?
Yes, I did.
And did you call 911?
Yes, I did.
And how long after calling 911 did anybody show up?
Less than, well, the fire department had showed up while I was still on the phone with 911, so I'd say 3 to 5 minutes.
So you were still talking with the 911 dispatcher when the first responder showed up?
Correct.
And were you able to observe whether they were able to do anything to help Dr. Sievers?
No, I did not go back in the house with them.
But she never walked back out with them?
No, she did not.
And they never brought her back out on a gurney or anything like
No,
that?
they did not.
At some point, did a crime scene investigation start at that home?
I believe that it had started while I was still there, I think almost instantaneously.
And did you cooperate in the crime scene investigation?
Yes, I did.
Did you provide any biological samples to law enforcement?
They took they call it a buccal smear, which is a swab of the inside of your mouth for DNA analysis.
At the time, back in June of 2015, you told us earlier that you were a surgeon.
Correct.
Were you working in the Seavers medical practice, or did you have your own practice?
No, I had my own separate practice.
And where was your practice?
It was in the Bonita Community Health Center, which is probably about 5-6 miles away from my house.
And you mentioned earlier that you had a personal and professional relationship with Dr. Sievers.
Correct.
What was the professional relationship like?
So when she first moved to town, she had purchased a medical office from another physician who had moved on. Because she is a medical doctor and I'm a surgeon who operates on things that are found by medical doctors, that became the basis of our professional relationship. Her patients may have something like a gallbladder problem or a breast cancer or something, and she would refer them to me to take care of.
Your Honor, I tender the witness.
Defense.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Petrites.
Good morning.
You had mentioned that you and your wife both enjoyed a personal relationship with Dr. Sievers.
Correct.
But not necessarily with Marc Sievers, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. But you have been around him quite a few times in social settings,
Correct.
had each other's cell phone numbers, that sort of thing?
Correct.
Okay. In fact, were you aware that he had more than one cell phone?
Yes.
Okay. Found that a little odd, did you?
Yes, I did.
No other questions, thank you.
Is this witness to be retained or released?
He's released by the state, Your Honor.
No objection? You're free to go, doctor.
Thank you.